Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the chapter The Ailing Planet Green Movement by Nani Palkiwala. In the last video, we had read that according to Article 48A of the Constitution of India, which states that the state should try to protect and improve the environment and must protect the forest and wildlife of the country. And we also read that it is very painful to know that laws are not followed in India. And also, India is losing forest at a harmful rate of 3.7 million acres a year, as per the report of the Parliament's Estimates Committee. But the loss is estimated to be 8 times the rate given by government statistics, which is very threatening. Now, let us begin with the reading of the chapter. A 3-year study using satellites and aerial photography conducted by the United Nations warns that the environment has deteriorated so badly that it is critical in many of the 88 countries investigated. There can be no doubt that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting, means deforming, disfiguring the future of human society. It took mankind more than a million years to reach the first billion. That was the world population around the year 1800. By the year 1900, a second billion was added, and the 20th century has added another 3.7 billion. The present world population is estimated at 5.7 billion. Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 million. These are the statistics according to the year 1994, because the article was written in that year. So now it has changed, and it is the in fact the India's population is how much? It is more than 130 crores. Now in this paragraph, what the study that was conducted by United Nation, it said, by using satellites and aerial photography, that our environment has got so bad that in 88 countries it has reached the critical stage. Growth of world population at such a fast rate is one of the strongest reasons behind the distortion of the future of mankind. When it took more than a million years to reach the first billion population, in the next 100 years, the population number increased by the next billion numbers. And in the 20th century, the population reached 3.7 billion, and the present number is 5.7 billion. And presently, the case is of the population increasing by 1 million every 4 days. So, the growth of world population is putting a severe strain on the Earth's principal biological systems. And due to excessive human claims, these are reaching an unsustainable level where their productivity is damaged. Development is not possible if world population continues to grow so rapidly. Increasing population, we all know, brings hunger, poverty, and unemployment. So, the main cause of the ailing planet is population. Fertility falls as incomes rise, education spreads, and health improves. Thus, development is the best contraceptive. But development itself may not be possible if the present increase in number continues. So it says that development is the best contraceptive, means it is the best way to control population. Development is the best possible solution for overpopulation. It can help in reduction in fertility and rise in income to spread more education and improvement in health. So it says that it is the best contraceptive, as it will, because of it, income will rise, fertility will fall, and education will spread and also improve health of people. And people would be able to think more than just having babies. The richer get richer, and the poor beget children, which condemns them to remain poor. So we all know that uh, rich people, they are getting richer, and the poor people, they are giving birth to children, and as a result they are bound to remain poorer. More children does not mean more workers. Poor people think that if they have more number of people in the house, then they will earn more. But it is not like that. It does not mean more workers, merely more people without work. So you see that our country is facing problem of unemployment also. It is because the number of vacancies are limited and population is increasing. It is not suggested that human beings be treated like cattle and compulsorily sterilized, but there is no alternative to voluntary family planning without introducing an element of coercion. Coercion means force. The choice is really between control of population and perpetuation of poverty. Choice is between control of population, means either you control population or you keep living in poverty. So, if the number of population will keep on increasing, it may not help in attaining any kind of development. And as I said, the rich get richer, poor, they are giving birth to children, and as a result, they remain poor. And more population will lead to more unemployment. Humans should not be treated like cattle who are sterilized by force. Means you know that the cattle, they are forcibly sterilized to control the population of the cattle. And so it says that humans, they should not be treated like cattle, but uh, because we have to control population, so some element of force has to be put on for family planning. If you remember, the China has taken out the policy of one child per family to control its population. So that was the coercion, that was a force, or you can say that was restriction put on them. So such restriction is needed to control the population all over the world. This article, it is talking about the world, not only India. So some element of force has to be put on for family planning, and it is the choice of human. They have to choose between population control or keeping up with poverty, living with poverty. The population of India is estimated to be 920 million today, more than the entire populations of Africa and South America put together. No one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt that the hope of the people would die in their hungry hutments unless population control is given topmost priority. Now, talking about India, the population of India is 920 millions, that is more than the population of Africa and South America together. And if the population is not controlled, most of the people would die in their huts with just a hope, just a hope of seeing change in their life. So that will just remain their hope. And until and unless we give priority to the population control, for the first time in human history, we see a transcending concern. Transcending concern means a concern that existed for a very long time and has passed down from one generation to another. Means a concern was there to control population or to save our environment. Now it is being passed on to the next generation, like ours also, and now we are forwarding this concern to our coming generation also. So we see a transcending concern, the survival not just of the people but of the planet. We have begun to take a holistic view of the very basis of our existence. Holistic means complete view. The complete view in the sense not about the humans, but also of the complete earth, the living beings that are there on the earth. The environmental problem does not necessarily signal our demise, means death. Means these problems, they do not signal or do not cannot be should not be seen as a mark of our death. It is our passport for the future. means we should see the world as a whole and not as different parts. It is not like that we think about India only, or Americans will think about their own country. We have to think in a, I mean, a holistic view has to be, uh, we have to accept it. The emerging new world vision has ushered means has led us in the era of responsibility, has guided us in the era of responsibility, an era, a time, an age of responsibility where everybody is feeling that it is their responsibility to save this earth. That is why we have this green movement. People are planting trees, people are taking pledge that they will plant tree, like 5 trees in a year, or every year on their birthday they will plant a tree to continue this green movement and save the earth. It is a holistic view, an ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than a dissociated collection of parts. Dissociated means separated. So, as I said, that if population is not controlled, then many people would die in their huts with just a hope. But with time, the people are now concerned about the survival of the planet. We have now started to see our existence with a comprehensive view. Solving environmental problems are a passport to the future and should not be seen as a remark of our death. We should see the world as a whole and not as different parts. Industry has a most crucial role to play in this new era of responsibility. What a transformation would be effected if more businessmen shared the view of chairman of DuPont, Mr. Edgar S. Woolard, who 5 years ago declared himself to be the company's chief environmental officer. He said, our continued existence as a leading manufacturer requires that we excel in environmental performance. So, in this as I said, in the era of responsibility where everybody has taken the responsibility of saving the environment, industry it plays an important role. Chairman of DuPont, Mr. Wooler declared himself as Chief Environmental Officer, and such attitude in other businessmen can have a great effect on the transformation. Means if all the industrialists think that they are the environmental officer, then their attitude will change and they will be more concerned about saving environment. Because now what happens that all these industrialists, all these industries, what they do, they, I mean, the smoke is coming out of the factory, the waste of the factory is thrown into the rivers. So they are not eco friendly. So it says that if everybody takes up the role as chairman of DuPont took and called himself chief environmental officer, so such attitude is needed in other businessmen, which will have a great effect on the transformation. Of all the statements made by Margaret Thatcher during the years of her prime ministership, none has passed so decisively. Decisively means clear and definitive. Means the statements that have been made by Margaret Thatcher during the years of her prime ministership, when Margaret Thatcher was the prime minister, she made number of statements, but her one statement, which was so well chosen, um, into the and it is passed so decisively into the current coin of English usage as her felicitous words. Felicitous means well chosen words. Few words were taken from her, you can say, the statements that were made by her, and it is in the current coin of English usage. Means we use it in our day-to-day English language. And what is that? No generation has a free hold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy. Freehold means permanent tenure of land or property. Means we do not have the permanent hold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy. Means we are here for a temporary stay with the full repairing lease. Means it says that I mean, we humans on this earth holds we do not hold a permanent tenure, but we all have temporary life possession with a full repairing lease. With a full repairing lease means we have, if we are living on this earth and it is our duty, we have taken this earth on lease, and it is our duty to maintain it the way we have taken it. If I quote an example over here, I mean, as a tenant, when you take somebody's house, so the way you have taken it means it is all painted, all the things are in working condition, the taps are working, it is you say the fully furnished house. If you take on rent, then I mean, you, it is your duty to maintain the things that you have taken. It is your duty to see that the I mean the like if I said the taps, they are in proper condition. I mean, it is your responsibility to keep it in working condition, to keep it in a living condition. In the same way, we people do not have a permanent stay on this earth. We have come here for a temporary stay, and of course, with a full repairing these means it is our duty to maintain this planet, to maintain the environment, to maintain this earth. Now, in the words of Mr. Lester Brown, this statement also we have used number of times in while writing an article on environment or talking about Earth. I hope you remember it. We have not inherited this Earth from our forefathers; we have borrowed it from our children. So we have borrowed this earth from our children. This is a revolutionary statement by Mr. Lester Brown. It focuses attention on the position of the man in this universe. People take it for granted that the earth is theirs as they have inherited it from their forefathers. They forget the fact that the real owners of the land are our children. We are only custodians or trustees, and we must continue development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. We must not strip the natural world of the resources future generations would need. In our effort to feed the increasing millions, we are plundering the heritage of our children. We have overusing natural resources for our present purposes. Destruction of natural resources will create an ailing environment. Our consumption of non renewable resources should be checked. We must preserve natural resources and hand them over to children intact as they are the real owners. So, everybody should think like this only, that we have not inherited this earth from our ancestors, but we have borrowed it from our children, and we should hand them with the natural resources that they would be needing to meet their need in the coming time. So we should give hand them as they are the real owners. Now, if we discuss the question answers over here, uh, first question says locate the lines in the text that support the title Ailing Planet. So the lines which support it is, if you see the chapter, the line you will find that the Earth's vital signs reveal a patient in declining health. Means the symptoms of the earth, they reveal that the earth is called a patient and it is in declining health. Now the second line which say talks about the ailing planet is, which supports the title, is are we to leave our successors a scorched planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes and the ailing environment. I hope you remember it, we read it in the text. Next is the environment has deteriorated so badly that it is critical in many of the 88 countries investigated. And there can be no doubt that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society. So these are some of the lines from the text that support the title. Second question: what is the notice the world's most dangerous animal at a cage in the zoo at Lusaka, Zambia signify? So it signifies that human has deteriorated the planet from a long time, that his own survival is under threat now. How are Earth's principal biological systems being depleted? I hope you remember the four principal biological systems. They were fisheries, grasslands, forest, and croplands. And these systems, they provide food and raw material for industry. And these systems, they have reached an unsustainable point where their productivity has have been impaired, which has resulted in collapsing of fisheries, deforestation, grasslands turning into barren wasteland, and croplands becoming uh, worse. And overfishing is very common in the countries where people are protein conscious. And in poor countries, the forests are being cut down on a large scale to obtain wood for cooking. As a result, it has become more costly than the food, and many species are under destruction in tropical forests. So these are the because of the four biological system which are being used limitless, and they have reached an unsustainable point. Next question says, why does the author ever that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society? Why he is saying so? Because overpopulation leads to unemployment, rise in poor health conditions, and ultimately it leads to poverty. It deteriorates the environment and the four principal biological systems. The rich people are getting richer, and the poor is giving birth to children, which is leading to more unemployment. And what is the best contraceptive? Development. Development is the best contraceptive, which will lead to more employment, rise in health conditions, and improvement in education. And it also results in reduction in fertility rate. So we have to choose between population control or perpetuation of poverty. Now, next it says laws are never respected nor enforced in India. I have already discussed when we read about it, because it is there that I told you that laws, they are never um, respected, like casteism, untouchability, and bonded labor, which are said to be abolished in India, but they are still in practice. Next says that are we to leave our successors a scorched planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes, and an ailing environment? So this statement also we had discussed, where we said that the rising scale of distortion of the environment, humans are going to leave a burned planet with arid deserts, poor landscapes, and a poor environment for our future generation. Our earth, it is like a patient with declining health, and it is not a good sign. Deforestation and overpopulations are some of the reasons behind the deterioration of the earth. We must realize our era of responsibility before it's too late. We must conserve the earth as if we have borrowed it from our future generations. Next question says that we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers, we have borrowed it from our children. Of course, um, we have been using the resources of the earth at a very alarming rate without worrying about future generations. And now the environment has become critical enough that humans must realize the era of responsibility towards it. With quite some time, human perception is changing, and the earth is seen as a holistic and ecological view. Earth is seen as a living organism which has its own metabolic and vital needs. We must protect the resources for future generations. Use of sustainable development, which means meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising with future generations. So, the earth's resources should be utilized in a way that doesn't affect the future, and a future generation also gets enough resources to live their life. The problems of overpopulation that directly affect our everyday life. Of course, overpopulation is the main problem of this ailing planet. It has led to many problems which are affecting mankind and natural resources. It has led to poverty and unemployment. The children are forced to live the same lifestyles as their parents did because of the lack of resources and facilities. The overpopulation, it has also led to lesser education and low health facilities, which has resulted in more problems like the rise in harmful diseases and fertility rate. The natural resources are being consumed at a very fast rate to fulfill the need of the population throughout the world. Deforestation is one of the issues where forests are being cut down. All this results in global warming, and if the population is not controlled, it will deplete the environment and earth. I hope it is clear to you. Now, thinking about language, we have some words, Latin phrases, and you have to write the meanings of them. So, meanings are given. If you want, you can take the screenshot of this and you can write it in your books. The next is working with words. Here also, some phrases from the text have been given, and you have to uh, study their connotations. So, with this, we come to an end of this chapter. I hope it is understood by you. If you find any problem, you can ask me in the group. And for the summary, it is given in the description box.